Okay, get ready for this. There is a bird out there that eats rotting, disgusting, bacteria-filled, totally toxic dead animals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it loves it. In fact, if you tried to eat what this bird eats, you would be in a hospital within hours. Maybe worse. This bird should be dead. Scientists cannot fully explain how it survives. And yet, here it is, strutting around the jungle like royalty. Because its name is the King Vulture, and it is one of the most wild, strange, and actually kind of beautiful creatures on the entire planet. Let's go. So first, let's talk about why rotting meat is such a big deal. When an animal dies, bacteria immediately start throwing a party inside that body. And not a fun party. We are talking about bacteria like Clostridium, anthrax spores, salmonella, and something called Fusobacterium, all things that can cause serious, sometimes deadly illness in most animals, including us. The smell alone from a carcass that has been sitting in a hot jungle for 2 or 3 days is enough to make a grown adult pass out. But the King Vulture? It flies in, sticks its whole face inside that carcass, and has the best meal of its week. No gloves, no hazmat suit, no problem. How is that even possible? Here is where it gets really interesting. Scientists have actually studied the gut bacteria inside vultures. And what they found was shocking, even to the researchers who expected to find something weird. The King Vulture has one of the most acidic stomachs ever recorded in a vertebrate animal. Like, insanely acidic. We are talking stomach acid so strong it would burn through most living tissue. When those dangerous bacteria go into that stomach, they get destroyed completely. It is like dropping bacteria into a pool of acid. They do not survive. They do not come out the other side. They just cease to exist. The King Vulture essentially has a built-in bacteria incinerator inside its body. But wait, it gets better. Even before the food gets to the stomach, something else is going on. Scientists looked at the bacteria that actually live inside the vulture's digestive tract, the gut microbiome. And they found something that made them do a double take. The vulture's own gut is colonized by bacteria that are themselves toxic to most other animals. Basically, the King Vulture solved the problem of dangerous bacteria by inviting even more dangerous bacteria to live inside it. Bacteria that produce toxins that kill off any newcomers. It is like having a security team made entirely of supervillains. Sure, they are terrifying, but they are your terrifying supervillains, and they protect the whole operation. And here is one of the most surprising things. Most people never hear about the King Vulture. Unlike most other vultures, the King Vulture cannot smell its food very well at all. Most people assume vultures find dead animals by smell, right? You would think so, but King Vultures actually rely almost entirely on their eyesight. They have extraordinary vision. They soar up high, sometimes so high they are barely a speck in the sky. And they scan the ground below looking for movement, or rather, the absence of movement. They look for other scavengers gathering. They look for changes in the landscape. And when they see other vulture species circling or landing, they swoop in and take over. Because here is the thing about being a king. You do not find the meal. You just show up and take it. That is actually where the name comes from. The King Vulture is big, much bigger than most other New World vultures. It has a wingspan that can reach about 6 feet across. It weighs up to 8 pounds. And when it arrives at a carcass, the smaller vultures, like the black vulture and the turkey vulture, step back. They literally make room. They wait their turn while the king eats first. That is power. That is status. That is why indigenous peoples across Central and South America gave this bird a name that translates to king. Now, let us talk about what this bird actually looks like, because this is the part where most people say, wait, what? The king vulture is gorgeous, not in a cute, fluffy way, in a wild, over-the-top who designed this bird way. Its body is white and pale orange, its wings are black. And its head is something else. Bald because feathers on the head would get gross at a carcass, okay, fair enough. But the skin on that head is bright orange and yellow and red and purple, all swirled together. Its eyes are white with a red ring around them. And on top of its beak, there is this fleshy orange knob called a caruncle that looks like a tiny volcanic rock. It looks like the bird got dressed for a carnival and nobody told it to calm down. It is absolutely striking. And here is another fact that almost nobody talks about. The king vulture plays a critical role that most people would never guess. Remember, we said smaller vultures cannot smell well enough to find tightly covered carcasses hidden in dense jungle vegetation. The turkey vulture, which has an excellent sense of smell, finds the body first. But then the king vulture shows up, and because it is so strong and so big, it tears open the hide of the carcass. It has a thick, hooked beak built for ripping. The smaller vultures literally cannot open the carcass themselves. The skin is too tough, so they wait for the king to rip it open, and then everyone eats. The king vulture is not just a bully. It is actually an essential key to the whole scavenging system working. Without the king showing up to open things, many smaller scavengers would go hungry. The whole cleanup crew depends on it. This cleanup crew thing is so important. Think about what would happen if dead animals just piled up in the jungle. Disease would spread. Water sources would get contaminated, other animals would get sick, ecosystems would fall apart. Vultures, and especially the king vulture, are basically the sanitation department of the rainforest. They are not gross. They are essential. They are the reason the jungle stays healthy. Without them, we would all be in serious trouble. Here is one more thing about the king vulture that scientists only recently started to understand. Vultures do not just have acid-resistant stomachs and dangerous gut bacteria. They have also evolved at the genetic level to handle these pathogens. Researchers comparing vulture DNA to other birds found that certain immune genes that exist in other birds are actually missing or totally changed in vultures. They have traded away some general immune protections in exchange for very targeted, specialized defenses. They evolved specifically to eat death. Their whole genome, their whole body, their whole biology is built around this one extraordinary job. It is one of the most specialized dietary adaptations ever discovered in a bird. They are not just surviving in spite of what they eat. They are thriving because of it. The thing that would kill everything else is literally their superpower. The king vulture lives across a huge range, from southern Mexico all the way down through Central America and into South America. It nests in hollow trees and rock crevices. It lays only one egg at a time. Both parents take turns keeping the egg warm and caring for the chick, which stays dependent on its parents for a long time. These birds can live for over 30 years, and they mate for life, which honestly feels very on brand for a bird this serious about doing its job. So let us just appreciate this for a second. Here is a bird that most people walk past at the zoo and maybe wrinkle their nose at. A bird that gets called disgusting. A bird that deals with the worst, most bacteria-ridden, most toxic meals imaginable every single day. And it does it with an acid stomach, an army of deadly gut bacteria, razor-sharp vision, genetic superpowers, and the confidence of royalty. It does not apologize for what it does. It shows up, it takes the throne, and it keeps the whole jungle clean. That is not gross. That is incredible. The King Vulture is proof that evolution does not always make things cute or cuddly. Sometimes it makes something perfectly, ferociously, gloriously weird. And those are honestly some of the coolest animals on Earth. Now I want to know what you think. If you could have one superpower from the King Vulture, the acid stomach that destroys anything, the insane eyesight that spots things from miles up, or the natural authority that makes every other animal step aside and give you first pick, which one would you choose and why? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to read